where they can really compete with intermodal rail and maybe pluck some of that freight off of the rail and get it over the road. So to your question, most of the lanes that we see in terms of competitiveness where trucking is either cheaper or essentially the same price as intermodal are sub 1,200 mile lanes. Once you get sort of over 2,000, you tend to not really get all that competitive. So when we talk about the sub 1,200 mile lanes, some examples: Atlanta to Dallas, Atlanta to Elizabeth, New Jersey. Really, if I were actually to think of it visually without going into specific lanes, if you draw a triangle from Chicago to Atlanta to Elizabeth, draw that triangle. You draw a triangle from Los Angeles to Denver to Seattle, make that triangle. And then maybe do a line between Chicago and Dallas in both directions. Those are the types of, if you think of lanes within those two triangles in that one line, those tend to be the three geographic areas where you find that trucking, again, is either cheaper than rail or essentially the same price as rail, and again, a lot faster than rail in areas where your truckload brokers can certainly make a lot of headway in terms of picking up volume. And I'll just pick a classic example. A lane that I've been following quite regularly for its competitiveness over the last few months is that Atlanta to Elizabeth lane. So right now, and these are preliminary numbers, so I don't want to set them in stone, but I can tell you that the broker to shipper number I'm seeing in trucking right now is roughly, with fuel, somewhere in that $1,600 to $1,800 range, Atlanta to Elizabeth. Intermodal, it's exactly the same. I've got intermodal numbers roughly at $1,860 from on the spot market from Atlanta to Elizabeth. So if I'm a truckload broker right now and I've got a shipper who may be using that Atlanta to Elizabeth CSX or Norfolk Southern route quite regularly over the last 10 years, I go to them and say, why? I can save you 24 to 48 hours and give you the same price, if not a cheaper price. Come over to the highway side. I'll give you a good experience.